Yo, what are you doing right now? We are going to get real about men's issues, who Jesus is, and who we are as men in Christ. We're going to hear Trey, Jeremy, Michael, and Brad break it down. These guys call themselves the Cussin Christians. All right, guys, what is going on?
I put them on and went in the study, and it went straight through my nose, out my mouth, and made a whistling noise. Like, whee! every time I started breathing. So,
yeah.
Oh man, us old dudes.
Have you guys ever been down to that little English pub in Cocoa Village?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool in there. Have you ever been there?
Mm-mm.
I walked in there Saturday, I think, and this one's the Irish one. It's got the British one. There was two ladies in there, and they were talking. I said, "You guys must be from London, huh?" She said, "No, Wales." And I said, "Okay, you Wales must be from London, huh?"
Indirect.
Fight began, man.
Connect the
Fight
dots.
began.
Dude, I didn't know you were at the game. I saw some guy.
I'm waving
I know.
at-
I see some guy doing this, but I'm like, way down away from him.
I had
And I'm
Larry.
like, surely God, they're not looking at me. I was like, who the hell?
Y'all are 5-0 now.
I videotaped
We're
you.
5-0. Yep.
606.
Y'all haven't. Have y'all allowed a point scored on you?
No. 157 unanswered.
157 unanswered points with 10-year-old.
They look
10-year-old
good,
Pop
dude.
Warner,
They look real
man.
good.
So
The juggernaut begins.
they're very aggressive, and their parents are paying for these video things.
There was like 6 kids that got hurt.
Oh, it
It's
was-
like, "Boop, time out."
Yeah, it was all time. Yeah.
Okay. shouldn't laugh at that,
but this one kid comes up and he just sees the kid and he picks him out and just knocks the shit out of him. And we're like, dude, we just got a touchdown. Like, he's coming back
Dude,
now.
man.
Like, we've talked about this. Like, you can't do it. But yeah, no, it was a fun game. We already went into the game knowing, because we beat this team 37-0 the last time, and we already knew that they haven't won a game yet. They've only scored 2 touchdowns all season.
Aw.
So we went into it.
Poor guys.
No, and I actually feel bad for them. So
You should have heard. I had to leave because the Lion parents. I'm like, I got to get out of here, man.
what were they saying?
You guys cheat,
Oh,
yeah. You name it.
Cheat.
What?
We just coach our kids well.
I know.
Yeah.
What do you want me to tell you? I mean, you have a hole in the center. I mean, they were doing the dumbest crap.
Yeah.
Don't you hate those parents, though, that they never played a sport, and they're the ones that are crying about
You should have
cheating
heard 'em, dude.
and all this? When my son Judah, when he was 6 years old playing soccer, he and another kid would be running down the field next to each other, running for the ball. The other kid would just fall down because he's uncoordinated or whatever, and they'd start going, "He's pushing." I'm like, he
Never touched.
he never touched him. Like, I'm like, you never played a sport.
No.
You don't know.
Nope.
Because
He's
the
not
parents who did,
coordinated.
like even if their kids got crushed, they were like, "Hey, that's the game."
That's right.
But
Yeah.
but the other parents who never played anything, they're the ones that are crying. He's pushing. They're cheating. It's like, no, our kids are just better than your kids.
Yeah.
What
Sorry.
position did you play?
I played everything in high school.
You had to be good.
I was quarterback for till junior high, and then fullback like 9th grade.
was
In
gonna
10th
say.
grade, they put me on the offensive line because I was tall. So I was crushed by that. So I was a offensive guard for sophomore, junior year, and then defensive tackle senior year. So I was kind of all over the place. I should have been a tight end, but
Yeah.
that would have been best. But anyway,
It's fun. It
was fun to watch.
Ash and I were talking though too. Like if you're on the other team, so Deland didn't win a game. That they only scored 1 touchdown the whole day.
So
all teams,
all teams.
all their teams, they scored 1 touchdown. Like you feel bad for the parents, but you feel bad for the kids too, because like they know, like you can
Yeah.
tell, and that's
Oh,
why
yeah.
they start falling down and getting hurt. They're not hurt.
They're frustrated.
They're frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens at the 10-year-old age. Like when they get frustrated, they just start. All of a sudden, everything hurts. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Doesn't DeLand have anybody that ever played football up there? I mean,
it's not my problem.
they look.
Speaking of football, or the lack of me watching football yesterday.
Yeah, I know. You guys sent out a text like, "Are you watching this?" I was like, "Is Dallas?" I don't think they're playing 4. Like,
This is my day yesterday. I missed church because Joe Rodriguez had his big car show out at Ford's Garage, so I went to open that up in prayer, and we had everyone's wearing Team Charlie shirts. Had a moment of silence for that for the Charlie Kirk thing and everything, and then after after that, I went home. As you know, I'm taking a sabbatical starting this afternoon, and hey, it's 1 o'clock, time for the NFL, and I turned on YouTube TV, and the first thing up was Fox News, and boom, There was Brandon Lake in that stadium in Arizona singing Gratitude. And it stopped to hear 80,000 people singing that song back to him. And I hollered at Donna. I said, hey, babe, the Charlie Kirk funeral's on. And I sat there from 1 until nearly 7 o'clock watching that last night and was mesmerized. It might be the best 6 hours of TV I've ever seen in my life. You watched it, right?
Yeah.
I know you two were coming in between football, and I couldn't watch the Cowboys play at 4:30 because the Bears beat them. But
The Bears.
The Bears.
guys, I was watching reels of famous pastors from the floor saying, I've never felt anything like this. These are seasoned pastors that have followings on social. That yesterday was something special, with Jesus being the focal point, mostly for 6 hours in front of hundreds of thousands of people that were there, not to mention the millions that Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and all those others were giving attention to, and just watched, wept, laughed, got mad, turned back around to praise and glory. It was just this whole thing of emotions built up. And then the clutter after, from about 6:30 till about, I went to bed last night with the takeaways. Obviously, you always got to check your sources, and my sources are always different because the algorithm's set up where it's just a love fest. And I purposely went over to some of the other social sites that aren't part of my love fest. And of course, they're, claiming Christian nationalism and all that stuff. But what was your takeaway about this? We talked about we're talking about this on the next podcast, I think, but it takes a tragedy sometimes for us to come together. And right now it seems like Christians in a big way are coming together with unity like I've never seen.
I've never seen a funeral service like that. I mean, even like when Billy Graham died, it was, it was pastors, it was Christian people, it was a couple hours. This was like political, Christian. I mean, the reach and the scope of it, I've never seen anything like that before. I don't think anything has ever, an event has been that impactful. And to hear, in a lot of the politicians, I always kind of look at them with a side eye, like, yeah, do you really mean that? But the way some of these guys were talking, they were leaning into their faith. And I think J.D. Vance says he's never talked about his faith as much as he has the past 2 weeks. Yeah. Like, he's a Christian, but he just doesn't talk about it much because he's not for whatever reason. He's talked more about Jesus the past couple of weeks than he ever has in his public life. And I think a lot of those guys were leaning into that. It was amazing, though, because it's like you've got the highest politicians in the land as well as the religious leaders, the Christian leaders. And, I mean, talk about an all-star worship band with Brandon Lake and Michael W. Smith and Kerry Jobe and all those people. Just hearing that, man, Jennifer and I were just in tears watching that because it was amazing.
I got a text from a friend of mine who's a supporter of our ministry, and he flew out there with his daughter who from here, and they were sitting in the stands, and he goes, man, you got to see this. And it was about the time that I was turning the TV on anyway, and I said, I'm tuning in. I'm looking for you. No way I could find him. But to hear Hegseth, Rubio, Tulsi, Vance, all of them gave the gospel. That no holds barred, that we have, our country is in need of a savior, and the only way to heaven and to be one with God is a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. They all went there.
Yeah.
But to hear these players in Washington, powerful people giving the gospel, made my heart sore.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it any other way than, let's celebrate a man who died giving the gospel and doing how he felt like he was led by the Lord. And to hear them rally like that, I was just mesmerized. And then his wife.
Yeah.
I saw that clip.
That was
powerful.
Mic drop.
Yep.
And when she looked up to heavens and said, I forgive him for killing my husband, I just started crying like a baby, and it was because I was hesitant about saying stuff like that for about a week. Y'all talked me off the ledge on putting some stuff up just from the backlash, and I even heard it. No, we can't forgive him. He's going to burn in hell. And
he still might.
He still might, but I'm going to pray that he doesn't. And I'm going to pray that he wraps his arms around Charlie Kirk in heaven because he believed in Jesus.
So the thing about that is that nobody understands that's a non-believer. As a non-believer, you can't understand that.
No.
You can't fathom that. And I think it was evident with how many people stood up to receive Christ in that service. I saw that.
Did you see that?
Oh, my gosh. The pastor says...
The people that stood up for Christ, he said, if you're a believer, stay seated.
Oh, yeah.
And thousands.
It was huge.
Thousands.
So I was just doing some like quick numbers here to see how many people were watching, right? On Fox News alone, like now again, I'm getting this off of I'm Googling quickly, so somebody feel free to fact check me here, but Fox News alone had, and the AP had 20 million views. Just on those channels. And I started out by saying, did NFL dip yesterday? And it said, no, likely not, because people can watch it on their phones.
Yeah.
They can stream it and watch the NFL.
Right. Or you can put a split screen on YouTube TV and have your team plus the
correct
stuff.
The one I pulled up here, one of the outlets said there's over 100 million views on social media. They really don't know, and that's what's coming up to is there's so many different ways to watch now between YouTube, X. You're watching on Michael's channel versus Trey's channel versus whatever. Yeah. But at least 100 million people outside of TV
that they can record
that they know so far we're watching it. So you think about it, like if that's just U.S. alone, that's a third of the U.S.
Yeah.
I had friends in other states who there was like a rally where they were watching it like in the town square.
Right.
Like they had it projected and there were thousands of people there watching it.
Utah, on that campus, they were watching it. I saw some clips from that campus where Kirk was shot. Watching that whole thing, I wish it would have ended with Erica.
Yeah.
Because I love his policy. I love what he's doing and everything else. But, man, I was going, man, please move on. Let's leave it with her.
Yeah.
There was a lot of humor, too. I mean, I launched a clip of Don Jr. imitating his father.
That was funny.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. At least Trump had her come back out there.
He did. He had her come back out and honored her at the very end. But it got, I believe up until then it was all more Jesus focused and less political. And then the political focus came in at the end. It kind of
and that's what I was worried about. It's like, don't turn this into a political rally, political. But that's what's so unique about Charlie and about this whole thing was that he was equally political and religious.
Right.
So it was appropriate to combine the two because normally I'd be like, don't bring that crap in here.
Right.
But that's what that's how he affected so many people.
Right. Yeah.
Because he was so politically involved. So I guess it was kind of appropriate to have some of that spill over. But
he, I was watching one of his videos and he was talking a lot about somebody challenged him on Christianity and being a nationalist and Christian nationalist and how that it should be separation of church and state. And what's interesting is that a lot of the stuff he brought up, like for example, that a lot of the state constitutions, because we have you have our constitution as the United States, but then states have theirs as well. The originals required you to
be a believer. Like in order to be, that was part of the Constitution. It was built and written around Christianity. And even he brought up that like Deuteronomy is Moses instructing us how to set up government and things like that. So, and that now our country, he's like, so it should fall more towards a Christian value system because it was set up that way, by the way. That's the way it works. But then also that, we're now trying to have a Christian legal system, Christian constitution, but we're trying to do it as non-believers, and it doesn't work that way. You have to have those moral values and centers where it's at. And I thought it was an interesting take on that and how he actually viewed it. He didn't view himself as a Christian nationalist. He viewed himself as a Christian first, but then a nationalist second. It was just that the two things came together because that's how it was set up from the very beginning. Our founders did that on purpose, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Where is all the hate and bigotry that the people are saying he promoted. I've never seen anything from him.
Well, he talked about DEI, and if he got on a plane with a black pilot, he might question, was this a DEI hire or is this guy really qualified? But again, if you take it in context and you understand what he was saying, it's not racist or bigoted, but it's very easy for people to take that one clip, take it out of context, and they did that with multiple things. They took them out of context and said, and they don't want to know the truth. I mean, they really don't want to consider what his heart was. They just wanted to take the clip and go, see, he was a racist and a bigot, and he wasn't a good person.
And that's clickbait for social media, and just Well,
yeah. Exactly. I mean, what he was basically saying was, hey, because you guys have done DEI, now I see someone, I question, are they the most qualified based on their color versus their actual qualifications? Because you guys have made that a point, right? Whereas if you just hired people because they're qualified,
you don't question.
You don't question. Yeah.
No.
And because standards have been lowered because of that, because they say we need a certain number of people that are this color or this nationality, standards have been changed because of that.
Over the last 12 to 24 months, and it has nothing to do with the election because it was still happening when Biden was still in office, but we were seeing a rise in exits of people that were of DEI statuses. Not saying they were DEI hire, they were of DEI status, meaning they were a woman, person of color, whatever that means. But you're seeing these companies went out and they put people in positions that they weren't ready for, they weren't qualified for. Mm-hmm. So then they fail, and then you have to let them go. So now they're being backfilled with people that are qualified. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen the stat on if they're still DEI is still part of that qualification, right? But it doesn't work.
Right.
And Charlie was standing up for that. I mean, and he was saying everything. He didn't do anything. Anyone who says he was a bigot or incited violence, like, you're wrong.
Right.
Like, there's no way to say that's true.
The only way you were exposed to him was through a 20-second clip that someone edited to make it appear that way.
Let's think about it like this. So this guy was such a movement in the country. One, he got all these viewers, right? The whole world's talking about him. Not one violent protest, not one violent act has happened in the name of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Flip the script.
Oh my gosh.
You got George Floyd.
Yeah, cities were burning down.
200 plus cities burned.
Yeah. But when you have hate in your heart, true hate, you can't see anything. You are so tunnel visioned, and you're being led by that hate and that anger. You can't see anything else. There's and the only way to get around that is Christ. And people that I've seen responding to it are saying, I used to be this, I used to be this. One particular woman, Michelle showed me yesterday, was in the alphabet community, and black woman, and she said, you can't tell me that Charlie had anything but love in his heart. I know. I was part of that community. Now I'm a married woman with 3 wonderful children, God-fearing house. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've got a master's degree, but I'm a stay-at-home mom because that's what I was called to do. So she's flipped that narrative.
6 hours yesterday, said the security, watching the people that were there, bad thoughts came to my mind. If there is anyone that wanted to upend our government,
that's true.
That building was a target because you had
both
director of the FBI, you had national security, the person in charge of our national security, you had secretary of the Department of War, you had the vice president, secretary of state. I mean, it just goes the speaker of the House, the president, goes on and on and on. That we're all there, and I'm going, oh my gosh, when has this happened? For someone that's not it just shows you the relevance of who he was. One described him as the perfect combination of Billy Graham and Rush Limbaugh. Thought that was a great analogy. The spiritual side plus the political side coming together.
But he was even more effective because he was affecting change, like on college campuses with young people.
He was going face to face.
He wasn't just like a radio personality.
No, he was going face to face. Yeah. Is there anything out of what you saw yesterday that might have scared you on this quote unquote Christian nationalism thing?
What is the definition of Christian nationalism?
See, that's what I keep. That's become a term that I'm glad you brought that up.
I know one of the elements of it is that they believe that the white race is superior, and so it's, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that would probably call us Christian nationalists because we go to church, because we love the Lord, but we're also speak out on political issues. But it's more than that. It's more of an extreme faction. And I tried reading up on it last night too, and it still didn't all gel with me. But I know that the whole superior of the white race is part of it. Your Christian beliefs and politics are like they're one and the same.
Well, so I just looked it up. So it's a social political ideology that seeks to merge Christian identity with national identity, often advocating for government policies and cultural norms that reflect Christian beliefs. There's a breakdown here.
So you're not separating your Christian beliefs from your politics? It's all molded in.
Well, and then there's the extremism that goes with it,
Yeah,
right? Like, and that's what he's talking about. Is like you have the Christian nationalist, which is probably Charlie didn't call himself that, but he looked at his views and said, "Hey, I'm gonna vote the way my belief tells me to vote, and that happens to go this direction in politics." And but then you have the extremism, which is like your white nationalists and things like that. And then of course the other side tries to say, "Hey, if you're a Christian nationalist, then that means you're all of a sudden a racist, you're a bigot, you're a this, you're a that,"
Right.
and that's just not the truth, right? I mean, we've talked about it in the past. If you're going to go vote, right? Like that's a gift. We have a gift in America. We get to go out and vote, right? We get to choose who we're going to vote for. We get to decide. Supposedly get to decide policy, right? We get to help decide that through votes, right? Mm-hmm. And it's an important thing, right? So if I'm a Christian and I'm going to vote, and I know that this person is pro-abortion, and I believe that life is a conception, and to terminate a life is to murder, and I don't care if it's an infant or if it's an 80-year-old woman. Like that to me is murder, right? So I'm not pro-life. I'm pro-life. I'm not pro-choice, right? Now, is there circumstances that there needs to be a conversation because we're going to lose both? Yeah, sure. I believe in that, right? If I'm going to lose the kid and the mother, at least save one, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, my vote, I'm going to vote against pro-choice policies traditionally, right? That's a belief system thing for me, right? So as a Christian, how can I not vote that way? I don't think Christian nationalism is really a thing. Like, I think it's more Christians that should be putting their votes where their Christian ideals go. So if that makes me a Christian nationalist, fine, whatever. The laws of the United States came from Deuteronomy and Leviticus, where Moses is teaching us how to set up government. So we set our government up through biblical principles. So when you try to run your government without biblical principles, it doesn't work.
And we've seen that, hence Marxism, communism.
Yeah, over and over and over again.
The Roman Empire was a democracy, which were founded after, by the way, but didn't have biblical principles.
Right.
No, they didn't.
And that's why it failed. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It lasted a long time, but it did fail.
Yeah.
What's up?
There's a couple things, I did the search as well. Fusion of identities, a belief that American identity is inseparable from Christianity, implying that to be a true American, one must be a Christian. There's also government endorsement, the belief that U.S. government should officially declare itself a Christian nation and advocate for Christian values through public policy. I mean,
we used to be that way. Why is that?
God's mentioned in our Constitution,
which is huge.
Theological justification, the use of theological interpretations to support the notion of American exceptionalism, arguing that the country's success is a part of God's plan. I mean, some of these things are not that far off from what we believe, but when you get into superiority of the white race, stuff like that, that's where we don't agree with that.
No.
That's where you're not Christian anymore. It's not a Christian point of view, I should say.
Right. But again, now you've got this derogatory term that liberals can throw and just say, oh, they're just, they're all right-wing extremists and they're all Christian nationalists. And once you get a label like that, it's easy to throw to people whether it applies or not.
Right. And once it's thrown, you can't unthrow it.
Yeah.
Well, what Charlie did, talk about a set, man. That guy, talk about fearless. I mean, what he did was he said, listen, I don't really care what you have to say. This is my belief. This is why I believe it, by the way. I don't just believe it. This is why I believe it. And tell me I'm wrong and let's debate it. Let's have a conversation.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to give your side of the story to me without fear, without anything coming back at you. Just say your words. I'll say my words, and we'll see where we land.
Yeah, let's be respectful.
What an open-ended thing in conversation. I mean, that was his whole thing. Was if we don't converse, that's how wars start.
Oh yeah, there's. I heard a story about in Nepal a few weeks ago. There was a like an overthrowing of the government by the young people, and they don't. And a lot of it was based on the fact they don't have free and fair elections, so they felt like they had no choice, except to resort to violence because their government's been corrupt for years, no matter who's in power there, and so the people are just tired of it. So they're like, well, this is the only way we're going to get anything done is we got to overthrow it. So again, what you're talking about, we have the gift of elections here, and we feel like we have some power by voting.
Well, that's the thing in the U.S. I mean, how lucky are we that we don't have to go to violence? And that's where it's so sad that this event happened yesterday, but we're so lucky it did because now people are talking about it, right?
Yeah.
This is the first political assassination since, I don't remember who was first. It was Martin Luther King or Kennedy.
Kennedy was first. King was 67, 68. Yeah. Kennedy was 61.
Okay. So, I mean, it's been 60 years since we've had to deal with this. Now, obviously, there's been attempts.
There's been attempts, yeah.
Not taken away from that. But this is the first successful one. So, like, now it's like, it's kind of like you almost get a speeding ticket, but you don't get one. So you don't really slow down. You know what I mean? Like, now, all of a sudden, like, we're seeing it happen. Like, we saw a guy die in front of us now, and now we have to talk about it because do we want to go back to the 60s and the 50s? And let's go back even further, 1880s.
Regarding what we saw yesterday, the thing that kept coming to my brain, the little one I have, Jesus was on a platform for 100 million plus or so to see, that his name was being trumpeted. Deep down, I want every United States citizen to know who Christ is and their need for him. So, and deep down, I want everybody to know Jesus, and understand that Christianity, the differentiating point between being a Christian and any other religion of the world is the word grace. Mm-hmm. And because of Christ, you have a one-on-one relationship with God, and you're eternally sealed. And we firmly believe that if you don't have that, it's going to get really hot, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at that, praying, how, all of the end times people, and all the interpretations of the Bible is when the whole world has finally been exposed to the message of Christ, the end times will come. Yesterday went a long way. Mm-hmm. With the numbers to have Jesus Christ's name.
Well, it's not over.
And it's not over. It's going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. But when she was talking, one of the classiest, screw trying to be like some other woman. If a young girl's growing up and wants to be like Madonna or Taylor Swift or Kim Kardashian and all this crap, look on that screen what you saw yesterday. Mm-hmm. I would love, if I had a daughter, my daughter just would be speaking like that.
Yep.
And for her to look up to the heavens and say, I forgive him. I couldn't contain myself.
Yeah.
Grace is the most powerful gift we have, and that might have been one of the most powerful moments on television I've ever seen.
You know why? Because people, and we've talked about this before, put a elevation on sin, that this sin's greater than the other, and it's not. And we are sitting here saved, born again, going through our sanctification process until the day we die, knowing that our sin was covered under the blood at the cross, and when we accepted Christ as our Lord and Savior, it's gone. It's done. So for her to say that, you and I, all of us, probably would say the same thing, because we realize if it wasn't for grace and for what Christ did on the cross, we would be damned to hell. We would, whatever it is, our sin would be separating us from the Father. So there is no level of sin. She was able to do that because of the forgiveness that was brought to her through her accepting Christ as her Lord and Savior.
was it Turek that made the
Frank?
Yeah, the comment, because he was his mentor. He was there 20 feet away from him, and he says, "We're not celebrating Charlie Kirk today because of the sacrifice he made for God. We're celebrating the sacrifice God made for Charlie Kirk and all of us."
And if that wasn't true, and if we didn't believe that, there would be no motive to forgive that guy. It would just be like, screw him, vengeance.
Him.
Like, I can't wait to shoot him myself. So that's just like a testimony that we know that God has forgiven us, and so we extend that grace to others.
Yeah,
It's also a testimony for everyone else in the world that doesn't know Christ to see what forgiveness really is.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, by the way. Like,
Oh,
she's
gosh.
not hurting any less, but
and she wouldn't give to have him standing with her on that stage right at that moment.
Yeah.
She's going through that emotion of, everyone said he's in a better place now. Well, duh, but I want him here with me, with our kids, raising my kids right now. That those are the kind of things going through my heart when someone dies.
Yeah. But I was thinking, if his ministry happened right now, how many people would accuse him of hate speech and being a bigot? Like, there was no error in anything he said, but the Pharisees and the religious leaders said that it's by the power of Satan that he cast out demons. Like they were throwing all kinds of stupid accusations against him.
Well, bigot wasn't a thing, or they would have called him that. I mean, they flat out were like, think about who he was talking to. The woman at the well. That was another race. Like, he wasn't supposed to talk to her.
Yeah. I guess my point is Jesus was the perfect man, and he was accused of things that he didn't do. There were people slandering his name. So it's like we shouldn't really worry about what people say about us, as long as we're speaking the truth in love. I don't care if they label me Christian nationalist or right-wing extremist or whatever, because I know it's not true. And the people who know me and know my heart know it's not true, even if we disagree on public policies and stuff.
You funnel that down, and some of the diatribe, is that a word? Against Charlie was he said offensive things. I mean, I've got relatives that just go off of the little clickbait stuff, and I'm trying to find the strategic moments to go, why don't you listen to that whole interview or that whole series instead of just that 20 seconds? Because Jesus said things to these people 2,000 years ago that if you just look at him calling them serpents or whitewashed tombs, those were offensive things. That was like cussing, right? That was that time's words for curse words. And Jesus said those things to make his point. Charlie Kirk just gave him the truth about, if you don't believe me, I want to have that dialogue, because, man, if you only knew what I know about who Christ is, man, you're going to see things totally different. And he was a master at debating. He was from what I've been reading, he was a sponge. He read everything. But one of the most beautiful things it came about yesterday was when he woke up every morning, he texted his closest inner circle Bible verses and asked them, "How can I pray for you today?" And I heard that several occasions yesterday about the text that would come from your boy Charlie on scripture or faith-based thoughts and things. And for him to be vilified by half the country just kind of blows my mind.
I think that's the other. I think it's a misconception too. I don't think it's half the country. I have this belief that
I'm just saying it based off of an election thing or whatever.
No,
you're right. You're right.
I know.
You're right.
What I'm saying though is I think that's part of the issue that we have in the country today. Is you have this vast majority that remains silent, doesn't really say a lot because we just don't really care to fight about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like outside of this conversation, I don't go out into the world and talk about politics and all that all the time. Like it's just not worth my time. And honestly, most people don't really give a shit.
Right.
So, but like there's this small percentage of people out there that, to your point, they make these videos. They're too lazy to even like go have the conversation. It's not fun. They'd rather have the design. And it's like that one kid in school that picks fights all the time just to pick the fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think our nation's as bad as we think it is. I think that this is a call and an awakening. It's like, hey, you know what? We do need to have the conversation. Like, you can't stay quiet anymore. Like, You know what I mean? Like, I'm not challenging your percentage. I'm just saying I'm really hopeful that we're not half the country.
I agree. I'm just kind of, you talk about how divided our country is. Are we really divided 50-50, or is it 30-70 with people with the same ideals? I don't know what it is. I know yesterday, or when was it? I was, middle of last week, I was talking to a local pastor. And for whatever reason, his church... that pastor, during the sermon after, the few days after Kirk was assassinated, there was this big uproar that every pastor in the country needed to be giving a Charlie Kirk message on that Sunday after he was killed. And then there's a lot of churches that didn't. And then there was a lot of people, the Christian people, if my pastor doesn't talk about Charlie Kirk this week, I'm finding me a new church. What kind of mess is that?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that going on the past week. And we're actually, a lot of churches yesterday, the second Sunday after the assassination, were actually addressing him in some means. And that one from the Christian perspective bothers me, because I don't think Charlie Kirk would want me getting on a stage and talking about Charlie Kirk in front of my church. I think Charlie Kirk would say, Pastor, give him the gospel.
Sure.
Let's preach on Jesus Christ here. And if there's something I ever said about it, then you're free to quote me. Mm-hmm. But it ain't about my life. It's about Jesus's life. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I saw a lot of give and take, social media, pastors talking about that last week.
Yeah, he got it. First, he sought first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and then all things were added unto him later on down the road. But I think, Brad, you brought it up. He Christian first, and then politics was second. No, probably not. It's probably his wife and kids was probably second.
Oh, yeah.
But based on all the things that I'm seeing, so he got it. We're all getting it. I don't know how many people stood up yesterday. They're going to get it now, because the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is in all those people that stood up in the stadium, and then whoever else was on TV going, "What's this Jesus all about? Let me figure this out.
Let me figure that out.
You mean I can have my sins forgiven, all the crap that I've been doing?" So it's powerful. It was powerful, and I think somebody said yesterday too that why God, because that's the first thing I said. I told you in the truck, I said,
yeah, we found out while we were driving together.
Why, God, did you let this happen? And somebody said yesterday, it's because of all this, all that's going on, the ripple effect, throwing that stone in the pond and watching the ripples go out, man. And we haven't even begun to hear the stories.
One of the most inspiring things I've learned the past 2 weeks, or roughly 2 weeks since this happened. Number one, there was no doubt his unwavering faith. There was no doubt his unwavering love of our country. Obviously, his family, the clips of him and his daughters just melt your heart. But there was one thing that came up several times, was he physically observed the original Jewish Sabbath. And on Friday night,
I told you that. Yeah. Remember?
He turned this off and did not turn it back on until Saturday night. To take a whole day just to do nothing but focus on praying, being with his family, and doing family things. And then, I'm looking at you. How often have you turned that off for 24 hours?
No, I haven't for years. No, actually, last time I probably didn't use my cell phone for a day was whenever I did my last 3 or 4 day fishing trip.
I'm going to give it a test run this week for 2 hours. We'll see how it goes.
For 2 hours. There you go.
I'll start small, and then we'll see if I can work out the 24.
I gave it up for 8 hours last night.
Hey? While you're sleeping.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know. Last week on Sunday, I just wasn't feeling right. Y'all know it's been a lot of turmoil in my life this summer. And I went to bed Sunday night after we ate dinner, and I just decided, that's going to be the last meal I have until we meet as a small group on Wednesday. I decided to fast and pray for 3-4 days, right? And the enlightenment I had in those moments, you and I were talking about those moments earlier, in the morning when I wake up, it's 30 minutes of just, I want to listen. And yesterday I was doing a lot of listening, and being filled with the Word and the Spirit. And my flight out of Philadelphia tonight at 9:00, I'm going to attempt to shut this thing off for about a week. Good luck. I'll let you know if I slip up. My wife will have her phone on 100% of the time. So if you need me, you got Donna's number, call me. But I was telling Chef while we were driving here today, I mean, every morning I'm putting on, trying to post a reel or something, something that you've put or cut, and trying to get one or two things scheduled for the day. And I always scroll after I do it. And when I scroll, I feel this pressure building up inside of me as I'm reading stuff.
You said it physically
starts bothering me, right?
Yeah.
And it physically starts bothering me. And that's exactly how people have set up the dividing lines, is what they get fed on this. And Charlie put it down for 24 hours every week.
I was thinking about what would that service have looked like yesterday for 6-7 hours if there was no God, like if there was no belief in Jesus or in God. What would they have talked about? Like, how could you have hope? What's like even the worship? Like, what music would they play? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it would be such an empty service, but it was, because we're focusing on God, we're focusing on what He's done for us, we're worshiping Him. I mean, that was the most powerful 6 hours I've ever sat.
It went like that too. To me, it went quick.
It was inspiring and amazing.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, what would a service look like if we didn't have that? If we didn't have that belief in God, nobody there was a Christian. Nobody just kind of the universe and random stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have lasted 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
I did a wedding one time, and there was an NFL quarterback in the second row. Not going to mention his name. And I was doing the wedding because the quarterback was really good, went to high school with one of the guys that was the guy that was getting married. And I remember going through and reading about Ephesians, about, submitting to your husbands and then loving your wives as the church. And I could hear him in the background going, "All right, Padre, let's get this over with because I got to get to the bar."
Oh, my
yikes.
goodness.
And,
Yeah.
and then someone echoed it to me later and said it. And I'm going, hey, that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm giving the gospel. I'm trying to give something great.
Yeah.
He don't get it. No, he didn't get it.
But you've been to, I mean, we've all been to weddings or funerals where nobody there that was running it believed in God. And so hearing them try to spin things or try to have meaningful, you know what I mean? Like meaningful, deep things to say about marriage or somebody passing away, it's just like really empty and it's really sad.
Yeah.
Because they're just grasping at straws. They don't really have anything of depth or substance to connect to.
Yeah.
It's just feelings and good vibes and thoughts to the universe or whatever it is. It's strange to hear people try to, there's not an equivalent to what Christians have with our belief in God and eternity and the scriptures and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't have a good response or answer when you say, what happens after you die? I don't know. I think this is it.
Well, 6 hours of TV yesterday, and it was all about Jesus, and that was an inspiring thing to see. I keep thinking about some of those pastors that were on the floor. I've been watching, and I know church attendance has been big the past couple of weeks, with people just curious or they want to come together, clear their heads, reset the bar of life.
This is a big opportunity for not just the churches, and I'll say to our pastors especially, but like anyone who's a believer, like people are looking right now to figure out what this Christian experience is like.
Right.
Like you have to handle that correctly.
Yeah.
And if you're not equipped for it, get them in the hands of somebody that is.
Amen.
I mean, because this is not a time. This is either a really great awakening that we could take advantage of, and I'm saying the word advantage. I mean it. We should take advantage of this opportunity. People are asking questions. I mean, I have kids talking on the football field about, hey, this Charlie Kirk guy. I got another kid who's like, hey, he was the same religion as me, and like that's a chance to talk into these young kids for me. But then there's the adults that we're going to run into too, and it's like, well, what is this Christian thing? Like this guy was a little different. Why was he different? Like we need to answer those questions and equip them to know why he was different.
There was a common theme with a couple of the speakers yesterday, and we'll finish with this. Relating Charlie's death to the stoning of Stephen, the first Christian martyr. and how when Stephen in his last couple of breaths opened his eyes, the heavens opened and he saw Jesus standing next to God looking down over him. Was that Vance that said that? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
And Stephen verbalizing that and seeing it. And guess who was in the crowd holding the clothes of Stephen?
Saul.
It was Saul.
Mm-hmm. I think Saul got saved.
Saul was
because
there,
of that moment.
and that was a seed planted. And someone related, Stephen, the first Christian martyr, now the latest Christian martyr. That's famous,
right?
Because there was Christians killed in Syria last week. They're martyrs. I mean, we don't get any publicity on that, but it's happening around the world. But they related his death to Stephen's, as especially Turek, because they got Charlie Kirk to the car and they couldn't fit him in. He was too tall. And so they had to drive to the hospital with someone holding the door because he's 6'5". He's a beast, right? He's a big dude. But he said he looked in his eyes from over the back seat and his eyes were just kind of opened and he could feel that Kirk was done and was looking through him and past him at Jesus standing next to God. That's this gave me goosebumps to hear the whole story.
Yeah.
And you got them going right now, don't you? Yeah. So imagine you dying, professing your faith. There's probably not a better way to go.
Yeah.
There's probably not a better way to go at all. I mean, it sucks that your wife and your children are left behind. But look what's happened. Look what's happening
about faith, right? Like that's the thing about what Charlie believed and what I believe, right? Like, yes, it sucks that he won't have a father, but Charlie knew, even in his last breath, that God was going to take care of them and that they'll be okay. If it's God's will, whatever's going to happen will happen the way God planned it. And we have that peace too. Like, even if I walk out this door today, I'm talking to somebody about Jesus or the football game last night, and I get shot in the back of the head and I'm gone. My suffering's over. My kids are going to suffer. My wife's going to suffer. You guys will hopefully carry my casket.
There ain't no way.
But I mean, it's going to take 7 or 8.
It'll be a big ass casket.
No, I'm getting cremated, so you guys are going to have it.
Good. It's just a box.
That urn's going to be a 55-gallon drum.
Oh, and I know, by the way, in Florida, you can use cardboard. I'm getting the cheap one too. Like, don't spend the money on the wood. I know this because I've done it twice. Anyway, but no, I mean, listen, I'm good, right? I know my family will be fine, right? They're good. So, and I know Charlie's left with the same thing. I mean, yeah, it's sad, but like, I think they're lucky. Actually, they're luckier than the average believer because they're going to see the impact their father made on the world forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is not a one-day thing. He's going in history books. Like, this is going to be talked about for a very long time.
Yeah. Amen.
If this isn't the start of the end.
Which, that's another podcast.
Yeah.
We'll hold it till that.
Is it supposed to happen tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it's 23rd is tomorrow, and supposedly
What is?
there's a lot of people saying tomorrow's a day.
Oh, the last.
The trumpets are sounding
Feast
tomorrow.
of Trumpets starts tomorrow.
Yeah, the trumpets are starting either tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm going to be in a plane when tomorrow begins.
Well, you'll have a shorter trip up.
So that's right.
Well, I was trumpeting this morning pretty.
We're ending with Michael's crude humor, but I'm taking a sabbatical. I'm gone for 2 weeks.
Again?
I'm gonna let you know how long I go without that thing. The other thing, we got a couple of cool things coming up. October 11th, we got a team of 10 men that we're taking to the slums of Juarez, Mexico, to work with Amigos in Cristo. Please pray for us. I know we're going to have one more episode with me before we leave, but we also are in need of some extra funding for that trip. You can go to impactministries.org, click on the give. I would love to raise about another $5,000 or $6,000 for that. Just to ensure everything is accomplished the way we want to accomplish it over there. Men's conference, October 24th, 25th at the church at Vieira. We already have about 50 men registered. We still got 5 weeks to go, so it's going to be a good group and a good crowd. And give us a like, a follow, share. check out our silly reels or the ones that are kind of deep on Instagram, YouTube. Follow us along. Also, we coming across the pages, YouTube will be an interview I did with Ali Farhadi with what we call the Grace for Man podcast. Check that out because his words are so stirring and so deep, and we love him. So with that said, boys, y'all take the helm. I'll see you in a few weeks. All right. I'm Trey.
I'm Michael.
I'm Brad.
I'm Jeremy.
We are the
Cussin Christians.
Come on.
Hey, that was pretty good. Yeah. That was right in line. Trey's usually
I'm a little off.